My dear brothers and sisters, I want to begin with a simple yet profound question. Is it truly necessary for others to know every detail about your life? Have you ever stopped to consider that perhaps people already know too much about you? We live in an era where privacy feels like a luxury. Individuals share what they eat, their destinations, their companions, and even their private feelings for everyone to see. Then we are surprised by the unnecessary drama. Why do we find ourselves surrounded by envy? Why do situations falter just as they appear to be going well? My dear brothers and sisters, I must remind you, not every blessing requires an announcement. The Prophet, peace be upon him, shared a beautiful teaching. Seek assistance in achieving your needs by keeping them confidential. For indeed, everyone who possesses a blessing is subject to envy. A hadith in Tabarani, Subhanallah, there is profound wisdom in secrecy. There is divine blessing in privacy. My beloved brothers and sisters, let's reflect on a point we frequently miss. In a culture where every experience is shared and every moment is displayed, many have come to believe that if something isn't seen, it isn't real. But this is not the mindset of a believer. We do not gauge our success or our sincerity by its visibility to others. In fact, one of the greatest gifts you can have in these times is privacy. Yes, privacy is a blessing. It is not a shortcoming, nor is it anything to be embarrassed about. It is a form of protection. It is peace. It is dignity. Today, many feel pressured to display their actions. They publicize their meals, their travels, their meetings, and their emotions. Sometimes they do this before even pausing to thank Allah for it. Why? Because society has conditioned us to think that your worth increases with your visibility. But that is false. Your value is not defined by how many people know your affairs. Your value lies in your sincerity. Even when no one is watching, when something good occurs, we hurry to post about it. We fail to consider who is observing this, who is experiencing envy, who is quietly wishing they possessed what you have. The truth is, not everyone who follows you is cheering for you. Some are merely curious, some are competitive, and some, let's be honest, are anticipating your stumble. So why offer them a front row view into your personal life? Why transform your private blessings into public spectacle? There is wisdom in silence. When Allah bestows a gift upon you, be it wealth, love, a career, a family, or even guidance, safeguard it with gratitude and discretion. Not every blessing requires a caption. Not every good day needs to be filmed. Allah gave you that moment to savor, to contemplate, to be grateful for, not to promote. And yet we have incorporated promotion into our acts of worship. We perform Umrah or Hajj, and before our tears have dried, the pictures are uploaded. We give to someone in need, and before a supplication is made, the post is shared. We fast, we pray, we seek knowledge. But instead of thanking Allah in private, we pursue public validation. Ask yourself, whose attention are you truly seeking? My brothers and sisters, our faith teaches us modesty. And modesty isn't only about how we dress, it is also reflected in how we live, how we communicate, and how much we reveal. Some matters are, you see, those who genuinely comprehend a blessing's worth know it is not for showing off. It is to be preserved, nurtured, and valued in quiet reflection. Consider the people you have known who seemed most at peace. They were not always the most vocal about their lives. Frequently, they were the individuals whose names you might not have known. They were content. They did not require the world's applause. They possessed an inner serenity because they relied on Allah and felt no urge to publicize their journey. We must learn from this. We must understand that contentment does not stem from attention. It arises from a connection with Allah. Let me share a beautiful reminder. When you perform a good deed in secret for Allah's sake, that action earns a unique reward. The angels record it without any distraction. The sincerity is pure. The intention remains protected, and the reward is increased. But when we act to be seen, when we desire the admiration of people, when we feel disappointed that no one noticed, we must question who we were truly doing it for. This is the reason privacy is such a valuable gift. It safeguards your sincerity. It keeps your heart focused. It protects you from negative influences. It teaches you that not everything requires an audience. You can pray in the quiet of the night, and no one ever has to know. You can give charity discreetly, and no one needs to applaud you. You can forgive someone in your heart without announcing it to the world. This is the essence of genuine spirituality, when it exists solely between you and your Lord. Now let's be practical. We all like to share positive experiences occasionally, and that is acceptable if done with wisdom. If your intention is to inspire, to uplift, to remind others of Allah's mercy, and your heart is pure, then there can be benefit, God willing. But if you are sharing to compete, to impress, to be praised, to prove something, then you must stop, pause, ask yourself, why do I need this validation? What emptiness am I attempting to fill? Social media has fostered a culture where people perform happiness while struggling internally. You see the highlight reel, not the complete narrative. You see the filtered smiles, not the silent tears, and then you measure your actual life against their curated image and wonder why you feel inadequate. But remember this, Not every smile is real. Not every person who smiles at you truly cares for you. Not every compliment is heartfelt. Some individuals will smile just to get closer, not because they are sincere. Some will praise you to your face and criticize you when you turn away. That is the nature of the world. If you base your happiness on such people, you will always be let down. The world is full of performers, people who will show you what you wish to see, tell you what you want to hear, but conceal their true feelings. This is why a believer is not deceived by appearances. The believer knows that sincerity is uncommon and that true friends are rare. Therefore, be cautious about who you trust. Be mindful of who you confide in. Not everyone who hears your story deserves to know your struggles. Sometimes your greatest adversary is not a stranger. They are nearby. They know your habits, your routines, your plans, because you informed them, because you shared excessively. And when matters go awry, you question how it happened. My brother, my sister, not every closed door is a penalty. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes Allah is saving you from people who smiled too often, praised too much, asked too many questions, but never once made a sincere prayer for you. This is why it is vital to keep your circle small and your trust in Allah immense. Choose friends who remind you of Allah, not those who distract you with worldly matters. Let your closest companions be those who do not need to witness your every move to believe in your sincerity. Sometimes the most caring people are the ones who do not comment, do not question, do not watch your updates, but they pray for you without you even knowing. They are the ones who remember you in their prayers, without seeking any recognition. That is authentic love. That is genuine friendship. Protect your heart. Reserve parts of your life solely for you and Allah. Keep your dreams private until they come to fruition. Maintain the sincerity of your worship until it deepens. Keep your family life sacred. Keep your relationships safeguarded. When something is truly special, you don't place it on exhibition. This is what cultivates real peace. When you begin to live this way, you will feel a sense of lightness. You will experience greater freedom because you are no longer living for likes, for approval, or for comments. You are living for purpose, for personal growth, for the hereafter. You start making choices based not on who will see them, but on who will be pleased by them. And the one whose opinion matters most is always observing. My dear brothers and sisters, this life is too brief to waste trying to impress people who are indifferent. Every moment you spend carefully constructing an image for others is a moment lost in sincere connection with Allah. Many of the individuals you strive to impress today will not even recall you in a few years. But Allah never forgets. He witnesses every hidden intention. He knows every silent prayer. He values every private struggle.
So choose carefully. Do you wish to be known by the world or to be remembered by Allah? There is no honor in gaining popularity for trivial matters, but there is immense reward in being sincere in the actions that no one else ever sees. That prostration you made in tears, that fast you kept without telling a soul, that charity you gave anonymously, that forgiveness you offered when you were deeply wounded, these are the moments that build your character in the eyes of your Creator. Guard your moments, guard your blessings, guard your heart, and remember, silence is not a weakness, privacy is not secrecy, modesty is not backwardness. These are protective shields, these are vital safeguards, these are indicators of true wisdom. My beloved brothers and sisters, we live in an era where eyes are constantly watching. You enter a room, and before you even speak, someone is observing. You accomplish something small, and before you thank Allah, someone is already forming a judgment. You post a smiling photo, and someone immediately assumes your heart is free of pain. This is our reality. We exist in a world where public scrutiny has become more intense than ever. But the hearts behind the watching eyes are not necessarily kinder. The more you allow those eyes access to your life, the more you risk inviting harm you may not even anticipate. Not everyone who watches you is cheering you on. Some are waiting for you to stumble. Some are counting your steps not to celebrate your progress, but to criticize your path. This is why our faith instructs us to be cautious, to be mindful of what we reveal. Public visibility can attract private harm. When you put your entire life on display, you make your inner peace vulnerable, your happiness an easy target, and your progress simple to undermine. There is a reason the most righteous people from the past did not publicize their good deeds. They protected themselves, not out of fear of people, but out of profound wisdom. You might ask, what harm can a simple post actually do? What is the danger in sharing a happy moment? What is wrong with letting people know about my achievements? The harm is subtle, but it is real. When too many eyes are focused on your life, you can start living for their approval. You cease doing things for Allah and begin doing them for external validation. You become more concerned with how something appears than with whether it pleases your Lord. Slowly, your intentions become unclear. What started as a genuine effort transforms into a performance, and the most troubling part is that you may not even realize it is happening. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us that envy is a reality, and the evil eye is genuine. Some individuals do not need to utter a single word.
They simply look, and that glance can carry envy. It is important to note that envy is not always deliberate. At times it is an unconscious reaction. They witness your blessings and, instead of saying mashallah, their heart reacts with a pang of comparison. That moment, though silent, can have tangible effects. This is precisely why we seek protection in Allah from the evil eye, and we are advised to keep certain matters private. Not everything requires sharing. Not every blessing needs to be posted online. Some joys flourish best in an environment of quiet reflection. When we reveal too much, we overlook the fact that not everyone possesses pure intentions. Some individuals are experiencing hardship, and your happiness can unintentionally highlight their pain. Some are facing setbacks, and your success can remind them of their own challenges. Consequently, instead of making a sincere prayer for you, they might harbor negative feelings, not because you have done anything wrong, but because you presented your joy in a space where not everyone can receive it with goodwill. This is why insightful individuals from previous generations would finish their work before discussing it. They would accomplish their goals quietly and allow the outcomes to speak for themselves. They did not feel the need to publicize their progress. They recognized the divine blessing in discretion. There is a profound beauty in keeping your progress between you and Allah. When He is aware, that is sufficient. When He is pleased, that is true success. When He supports you, you do not require the validation of the crowd. However, when we become fixated on being seen, praised and acknowledged, we gradually shift our focus away from Allah's approval and toward the opinions of people. Here lies the core issue. People are never truly satisfied. One day they applaud you, the next they express doubt. One moment they show affection, and the next they question your sincerity. But Allah never changes. His mercy, His appreciation, and His rewards are constant. If Allah is aware of what you have done, you have already succeeded. If Allah understands your intentions, whose else's understanding is required? You prayed and no one noticed, but Allah did. You gave charity and received no praise, but Allah recorded it. You forgave someone quietly, and Allah elevated your status. You worked diligently, without showcasing it to the world, and Allah witnessed every effort. What more could your heart possibly desire? When we truly comprehend that the gaze of Allah holds more power than all human opinions combined, we cease seeking validation in the wrong places. The heart finds genuine peace when it disconnects from the clamor of people and reconnects with the tranquility of sincerity. That quiet space, that confidential relationship between you and your Lord, is where your true value resides. It is where real blessings originate. Consider a seed planted beneath the soil. It is hidden, no one sees it. Yet in that concealed state, it develops roots, gathers strength, and eventually blossoms. However, if it is exposed too early, it becomes vulnerable. The same principle applies to your ambitions, your faith, and your personal challenges. Do not reveal them prematurely. Allow them to establish strong roots. Let Allah nurture them with His blessing in silence. Then, when the time is right, the result will bloom for the world to see, not because you forced it, but because Allah willed it. Many people today experience anxiety and pressure, not because life is inherently difficult, but because they have permitted too many observers into their private world. They fear judgment, comparison, and competition. Yet, all of these concerns start to diminish the moment you redirect your focus back to Allah. When you work for Him, and not for people, the pressure subsides, and the fear vanishes. You walk with genuine purpose, not for an audience. You speak with clear intention, not for attention. This is the beauty of living for the one who never misjudges, never miscalculates, and never misunderstands. My brothers and sisters, if people are unaware of how much you pray, that is acceptable. If they do not know the extent of your struggles, that is acceptable. If they do not comprehend your dreams, your silence, or your plans, that is acceptable. Allah knows, and when Allah knows, nothing else is important.
You do not need to convince people. You do not need to justify your path. You simply need to remain sincere and trust the one who sees what is invisible to the eye. Sometimes you are doing everything correctly, yet people still question you. They doubt your motives. They misinterpret your actions. They invent narratives that are not true. That is not your burden to bear. That is their perspective, not your reality. Do not waste your time attempting to correct how others perceive you. Concentrate on how Allah sees you. If He sees sincerity, that is true success. If He sees your effort, that is victory. And if He sees your patience, that is genuine strength. Consider an example many of us overlook. When you make a sincere prayer, you don't broadcast it. You don't announce it to everyone. You raise your hands in private. You whisper with humility. You cry in secrecy. Why? Because that is where authentic connection is found. You are not performing. You are not putting on a display. You are simply surrendering to the one who already knows what you need. And that form of worship, hidden from everyone else, is among the most beloved to Allah. That is what makes it powerful. That is what makes it meaningful. The privacy itself makes it precious. So why do we treat other parts of our lives so differently?
Why do we rush to announce our next move, our next dream, our next significant step? Sometimes, silence is your most effective strategy. Silence protects sincerity. Silence shields you from potential sabotage. When your plans are not on display, they can develop without interruption. You build quietly, you heal quietly, you rise quietly, and then one day, when Allah decides the time is right, the fruit of your silence becomes visible. That is how blessings often work. Quiet roots lead to significant results. In those moments when people question your silence, do not be unsettled. Not everyone will understand your decision to keep things private, but that is all right. You do not owe everyone an explanation. You owe your Lord sincerity. That is all. You do not need to explain your boundaries. You do not need to defend your peace. Sometimes, being misunderstood is part of remaining sincere. The prophets were misunderstood. The righteous were questioned, but they never traded Allah's pleasure for people's approval. You may feel isolated when you choose privacy in a world obsessed with exposure, but understand this: privacy is power, not because it conceals weakness, but because it protects strength. It shields the heart from vanity, it guards the soul from distraction, and it reminds you that not every treasure needs to be displayed to be valuable. In fact, the most valuable treasures are often hidden. When you reach the point where you no longer seek applause, you have freed your heart. You do not crave compliments. You are not discouraged by silence. You walk your path with confidence because you know who you are doing it for, and the one you are doing it for never sleeps, never forgets, and never overlooks a single tear, a single prayer, or a single sacrifice. My dear brothers and sisters, do not measure your worth by how many people notice you. Measure it by how sincere you are when no one is watching. Do not confuse popularity with purpose. Do not confuse noise with value. What people say today, they may forget tomorrow. But what you do sincerely, what you do for Allah, is recorded forever. Sometimes you will see people doing less but receiving more attention. Do not be disheartened. Perhaps Allah is protecting your deeds from being tainted. Maybe He is preserving your reward. Maybe He is training your heart to remain pure. Because the moment we start doing things for people, we grant them power over our hearts. And the heart was only created to submit to one Lord. Live quietly, pray sincerely, work humbly, and let your results speak when Allah decides the time is right. Not every achievement needs to be announced. Not every gift needs to be displayed. Protect your blessings, protect your peace, and most importantly, protect your intention. Because intention is what Allah looks at first, and if your intention is pure, everything else will fall into place, even if no one else ever sees it. When Allah is your witness, you do not need anyone else. When Allah sees your sacrifice, you do not require the world's praise. And when Allah loves you, that is enough to outweigh all the misunderstandings, all the judgments, and all the silence from people. Because His love heals, His knowledge comforts, and His mercy rewards in ways no human ever can. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the heaviest burdens we carry in life is the weight of other people's assumptions. The world is filled with voices. Some are kind, others are harsh, and many do not even know the full story, yet feel entitled to interpret it. People see you walking a certain path and immediately assume your motives. They hear a single word from you and construct entire judgments around it. They observe your silence and begin filling it with their own noise. But here is a truth we often forget. What they assume is not your problem. What they say behind your back is not your responsibility. Let them assume. Do not allow it to consume you. People will always talk. That is the nature of the world. You do too little, and they say you are lazy. You do too much, and they say you are showing off. You stay quiet, and they say you are cold. You speak up, and they say you are arrogant. It never ends, and if you try to adjust your life to fit every opinion, you will exhaust yourself chasing illusions. You lose sight of your own direction, trying to please people who are themselves lost. There is no peace in living for people's approval. Real peace comes when you hand over their opinions to Allah and say, "You know the truth, and that is enough for me." We must remember that assumptions are built on incomplete information. No one truly knows your heart except Allah. No one knows your intention except the one who created you. People may observe your actions, but they do not see the tears behind them. They might hear your words, but they do not hear the prayers that came before them. They might notice your absence, but they do not feel the pain you carry. So why allow their limited perspective to define your self-worth? Why permit their false narratives to shape your reality? You know your own journey. You know your Lord. Keep moving forward. Keep striving. Do not let their noise drown out your purpose.
When people assume the worst about you, it is not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes it is a reflection of what is inside them. Their viewpoint is clouded by their own pain, their envy, their past experiences. So when they look at you, they do not see your truth. They see their own wounds, and instead of healing, they end up hurting others.
But the beautiful part is that Allah sees through every lie, every misjudgment, every false story, and He will always bring clarity when the time is right. So your responsibility is not to fight every rumor. Your responsibility is to keep your heart pure, your efforts sincere, and your focus on what truly matters. There will be days when you feel misunderstood, not just by strangers, but by those closest to you. You will want to explain yourself, to defend your reputation, to correct the inaccuracies, and while sometimes that may be necessary, most of the time the best response is silence, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom, because silence holds a strength that arguments cannot match. It says, I trust Allah to reveal the truth. It says, my dignity is more important than proving a point. It says, my peace is not up for negotiation. You must protect your heart from being tainted by the opinions of others, because when you allow their assumptions to take root in your heart, it creates an internal storm. You start doubting yourself. You start fearing judgment. You become anxious about your next move. But when you say, let them assume, you are not giving them permission to harm you. You are refusing to grant them power over you. That is a powerful shift. That is when you begin to grow. That is when you start to breathe freely again. This brings us to another important truth. The more people know about you, the more vulnerable you become. This is not just a social observation, it is a spiritual principle. There is wisdom in keeping parts of your life private. There is wisdom in having a space in your life that only Allah knows, because the more people know, the more they talk. The more they talk, the more they misunderstand. And the more they misunderstand, the more they try to shape your life with their words. But you were not created to be shaped by public opinion. You were created to be guided by divine revelation. Often we invite problems into our lives by oversharing. Not everything needs to be posted. Not every detail needs to be shared. Not every thought needs to be expressed. There is a reason Allah created the heart as a place of secrets. Some things are meant to stay between you and Him. That is where they remain pure. That is where they remain protected. Because when too many people know your plans, your goals, your blessings, they become targets. Targets of envy, of gossip, of ill wishes. And even if the harm is not direct, it comes subtly, it weakens your focus, it shifts your intention, it disturbs your blessings. There is a beautiful saying, speak about your plans only after they succeed. Why? Because premature exposure brings unnecessary attention. People begin to watch you not out of support, but out of comparison. They wait for you to fail. They question your process. And in that noise, you lose the sweetness of your journey. But when you work quietly, grow privately, and let Allah be your only witness, your progress carries a different kind of strength. It becomes sincere, it becomes stable, and it becomes unstoppable. Even in matters of the heart, privacy is a form of protection. When you love someone, when you are building something pure, keep it sacred. Not everyone needs to see it, not everyone can understand it, and not everyone will be happy for you. Some people smile with their lips, but frown in their hearts. So protect what is precious by keeping it hidden, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, because what the world does not know, it cannot ruin. We live in a world that glorifies exposure. The more you show, the more attention you get. But attention is not the same as value. Just because many people are looking, does not mean you are winning. True success often happens in silence. Consider the sun. It rises every morning without making a sound, yet it brightens the whole world. Your job is not to make noise. Your job is to bring light. And light does not need an announcement. It just shines. People might ask, why are you so private? Are you hiding something? Are you afraid? Let me be clear. You are not afraid. You are focused. There is a significant difference. You are not concealing yourself out of shame. You are choosing privacy because you are nurturing something sacred. You are preserving your inner peace. You are guarding your blessings. And that is an act of wisdom, not fear. That is an act of spiritual strength, not weakness. You will notice something interesting in life. The more you share, the more emotionally drained you may feel. This is because every time you open up unnecessarily, you give away a part of your energy. And when you give too much to people who do not truly value it, you can start to feel empty. But when you reserve your energy for the one who genuinely values it, your Lord, you feel renewed, you feel uplifted, you feel protected. That is the beauty of living with intentional discretion. There will be times when people persistently ask about your life, your plans, and your decisions. You might feel pressured to provide explanations, but remember, you do not owe people access to your every move. You owe them respect, kindness, and honesty, but not full exposure. It is perfectly acceptable to say, Alhamdulillah, things are going well, and leave it at that. You do not need to open every door. You do not need to turn every page. Allow some chapters to remain solely between you and your Creator. The people who genuinely care for you will not demand entry into every detail of your life. They will respect your silence. They will make sincere prayers for you even when they are unaware of your struggles. And they will support you without feeling the need to control your narrative. Those are the people worth keeping close. As for the rest, let them assume.
Let them speculate. You have no obligation to correct every rumor. Your peace is more valuable than your image in their minds. Here is another beautiful truth. Sometimes Allah conceals you for your own growth. He keeps you away from the spotlight so you can develop strength in the shadows. He closes doors so you can build character without distraction. He withholds applause so your sincerity can deepen. Do not resist His protection. Do not chase a stage that Allah is saving you from. There is more divine blessing in a hidden seed than in a loud performance. A seed, when nurtured properly, grows into a tree that provides shade, fruit, and comfort to others. But it had to remain hidden first. Not everyone needs to know everything about you. Keep something for yourself. Keep something for Allah. Keep something sacred. May Allah protect us from the evil eye, from jealousy, and from exposing ourselves in ways that harm us in this life and the next. Amen.